Yeah, greetings YouTubers, it's the big fella here, Big Jim, in his London Taxi International TX2 on a 2003 plate, whose name is Poppy, named after my granddaughter. Welcoming you aboard yet another chat about what it's like to own a private plated old ex-London cab with 265,000 miles on the clock and still going. You probably have read quite a few of my ones down below. I've just started going, just letting you know what's happening, and you know, buying and purchasing a cab, and the way we're sort of, well, this sort of blog, I suppose, it's you know, is moving forward, and we're picking up comments and everything along the way. So embryonic stage at the moment, everyone, but it's getting there. You know, from mighty oaks, what is it, little acorns grow, I think I remember my parents telling me. Well, let's just see. I'd love to have a lot more input from you guys down there. There are a few that are coming in and just glancing over and ticking the like button. But please leave comments below, and if they're non-favourable, I'm okay with that as well, as long as they're not damn right abusive. Yeah, what's happened? Oh, well, I've just finished work, so you'll have to excuse the attire. I haven't met the Queen, but it's one of the requirements of my work to wear this sort of stuff, although I prefer to just be in my sort of rough and ready t-shirts and get dirty on the cab. So basically what's happened? Right, already traced the hydraulic leak. It's a hydraulic leak on the main hose that goes to the steering rack back to the pump, which is the pressurized hose. That is about £60 to replace. Look, it's high pressure on that side. It ain't worth cutting and bodging or doing anything like that, you know, because it's just liable to let you down at another time. So I've actually ordered that up, and they reckon that'll be here for Wednesday, Thursday. It's not a bad leak. I can limp it on because I've got my granddaughter's. She's off on that Americanism thing that I always forget. A prom, that's it. She's doing her prom. So I'm doing that on Thursday. So I'm not going to attempt the repair until after that. So yeah, that'll be done, and then we'll clear up the leak. It's not that bad. Couple of drips overnight, but you know, PSF, power steering fluid, is quite cheap anyway. But I don't like sort of just wasting it, and it mucks up your parking space as well, doesn't it? So that will be repaired, everybody, post haste, as quick as possible, no problem. Another thing I want to add on there, I was round a friend's house during last week, who is had his own garages, diesel fitter and everything, and I was talking to him about the radiator problem on the previous one, where I said the crimping across the top. And he has suggested, and the man of all knowledge that knows everything, he's told me that that plastic bit is obviously a separate part. Underneath that, there's a rubber gasket. And then the plastic sits on top of it, and then it's crimped up all the way around the sides. Now, over the years, so he tells me, with the expansion and the contraction of the heat, what basically happens is it sort of moves away, the top part moves away from the bottom part, and causes it to sort of move away from the gasket. And so he said to me, what has happened, and he's really successful in doing it, get yourself a pair of long nose pliers, start off from the one side, work your way all the way around the other side, and actually basically just re-crimp it as if you were I suppose crimping a pie or something like that. The actual joints are this large, and then they go down to a gap like that, and then there's a metal there and a gap and a metal, and so on and so forth all the way around. So he said if you just get a pair of those pliers and just don't overdo it, he said, and crimp it back up, and he said that will tighten the top down, and it will actually pull it back down onto the rubber, and it should make a seal. And I went, Clive, you're a diamond. I will give that one a go. I've not got round to doing it yet. Again, it's not losing that much, so I will do that. So any of you out there with the old problems with the radiator leaking at the top, and not at the fins either side, front and back, it might be worth that. When I do that, and I'll probably do it before the weekend or a bit later, I will chase up with you afterwards and let you know if we managed a permanent repair on that. I'd never heard of that, and so it just goes to show you that you know, an old dog can be taught new tricks, and if it works, it works. If it don't, as I said, it's going to be a new radiator thrown in there, so we'll give it a go. I'm not going to throw in the rad weld, the bars leaks, all that stuff that, as we've explained before. Once that goes in there, who knows what that's going to block. You know, there's some integral, quite small integral parts around by the water pump. There's the oil it's the water channels as well. Oh no, it's just, to me, that is a wrong way of going about fixing a repair, just fixing the whole engine up with gunk and crap. So no, I will not be doing that. I will not be doing that. So I will report back on you for that. It's going to be a fairly short one because it's 20, just coming up to 4:45, just after 20 to 4. I need to get home. I'm a little bit tired. I had a long day like yesterday at work and another long one today, but I needed to get this off my thing. Someone at a previous video, his name's John, Jon spelt, came up with a really good comment actually, and it's one that I've not raised before, and that is he is a taxi driver on the Isle of Man. Now, I've never been to the Isle of Man, but I've seen the Isle of Man TT quite a few times, and it is quite hilly in places. It goes out of it goes out of sort of Douglas and out and round, and once it goes up into those hills, because I know the mist can drop down there. And he asked a very good question, and that question was, Jim, how do you find that your London taxi performs in the hills and dales and ups and downs of West Sussex? And I sort of had to think to myself, yeah, that's a great question. I'll answer it the best as I can. The TX2 London Taxi Internationals all come with an overdrive in them. They're a very low-laboured gearbox. They sort of change very, very quickly. And if you're driving in normal, you'll just hear it, duh, 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 duh. There's no discerning change between the gears. It just dung, 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 dung. Unless you obviously use the kick down, and then you'll feel it and it'll hold the gears. You can drive these very, very smoothly. The only difference is the overdrive button, which is just down to my left-hand side. It's a switch on the dashboard. You think it would be actually by the gear lever, but it's not. You sit and all you do is, if you're around town, you take it out the circuit. In other words, there is no overdrive. So you'll have your 3 forward speeds into your fourth, but there'll be it won't drop down into the fourth gear, because obviously that'll be too low and laboured, and you'll have trouble then pulling away. You only use that when you're on dual carriageways, or you're going to do a sort of run. As soon as you click it, you can actually hear the sort of other gear just sort of click in. I've used this on quite a few hills around West Sussex. We've got one called Berry Hill, and I think from bottom to top it climbs in about a mile. I think it climbs something like about, it's got to be about 300 foot. It must be. It's quite a climb, and vehicles do have trouble chugging their way up there. It's a bit of a snaky S-pass. If you want to Google Maps it, have a look at Berry Hill, West Sussex, and you'll see it. I went down on the boat a couple of weeks ago and looked at Berry Hill on the side of the sort of, well, it is a cliff, really. It's not a hill. It's a chalk cliff looking down to the River Arun, and it must have been all of 200, 300 foot. It's a big hill. This has gone up Berry Hill absolutely fine. Again, leave the overdrive out of it, and it did make the climb without any problems. All right, look, this is never going to do 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. I think brand new, the Parker's Guide reckons that the 0 to 60 time in this is something like about 14.5 seconds. And if you've got an engine that's sort of around the 200k mark that this is, I wouldn't even push it that hard. So, don't expect to get out there like one of the emergency services. More like a hearse going to a funeral, I reckon. But it doesn't labour the engine. It will continually tug and pull up there. You've got no oil pressure gauge here, or temperature gauge. I'd imagine the only thing that you're going to get up if you have a problem with that, and I've looked at the book, is you're going to get the oil pressure switch. If it gets too hot, or it's going to trip out, and you're going to get the little old red oil light come up on the dashboard. On the front of these, right at the front of the bonnet, you've got the radiator that sits here. Well, just in front of the radiator, and it's the nearest unit to the grill, you've got an oil cooler that actually sits there, and it's right on the front there to cool down, to cool everything down. I've done the Berry Hill absolutely fine. It's gone up there absolutely no problems whatsoever. I don't know how hilly and cliffy, you know, the Isle of Man is really, if you're permanently going to be going up and down hills, but it does it without any problems whatsoever. Not designed for use, obviously, for that, because let's face it, most of London is remarkably flattish, although London does sit in a little bit of a bowl, and the outer sort of suburbs like Hampstead, out in that back way, and you know, Upminster and all round there, there is a gradual climb, but nothing like the climb like a Berry Hill, or I'd imagine some of those hills and cliff sides that you get on the Isle of Man. So to answer your question, John, I've not had no problems whatsoever. In fact, when I get to the top of some of the big hills round here, you can normally tell it. You get that smell, you know. You get used to them. If they are burning a bit of oil or getting too hot, you can smell the you can smell the gearbox oil. You know, you get that. I don't know. It's like it's not a burnt smell. I almost akin it to like a sweet scented smell. And I've never ever had it with this, so it works absolutely fine for that. I've got no issue at all with on the hills. Be interesting to see, actually. I mean, I don't know how many of the TXs are actually working out on the Isle of Man at the moment. Probably not a lot. So it might be worth you sort of looking into it a little bit deeper and do what I've done and sort of take the plunge after you get yourself a good one. They are really, really comfortable to drive. That's one thing I can find about them. I can sit in this, because see, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'1" and probably almost 6'1" wide as well. I've got so much room here. I got so much room. I mean, I you know, it's just gorgeous. And you look at my face now and you can see how I'm smiling. I absolutely love it. And do you know the thing that I like the best? I mean, I'm a big fella. Look at me. Look at my chins. Look. Do you know what I like the best about this vehicle? First thing, when I get in that cab, it's up nice and high. Like I said, a big guy, I don't need a key, all this called bending down, slouching down. It's basically level. My seat is level with my arse. So it's just a matter of sliding into the seat. And then another thing that's really, really good. Most cars I get into, because I'm so big, I end up having to go into the cab like this, or sorry, into the cabin area or into a car, and I've got my head sort of jammed outside here, and then when I get in, 9 times out of 10, my head is touching the roof of the car. Some are worse than others. Some you can adjust, cars you can adjust, where you can actually tilt them back so they're not. I don't like to be too far back. I like to have my seats very upright and down. In a lot of cars, I can't do that. And even if I'm travelling as a passenger, in this, my friends, you've got no problems whatsoever. You could be. I know Stephen Fry, who's a big guy. He had one of these. I think he's still got it. Drives around in London. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know he used to have one. Now I can't. The clearance here, I don't know if you can see that, but if I sort of sit up, now I'm actually sitting up bolt upright in the chair now, and I've got a clearance of probably about 5 to 6 inches clearance. Now there's an old adage and an old story that they had to have that sort of clearance because in the old days, something about a top hat or something like that, I think it might be an old wives' tale, I really do. And the other old wives' tale about all London taxis have to carry straw in the back, otherwise they can't pass. So that's why a lot of them have got a little parcel of straw. I've asked a lot of cabbies that before, and they said it's again, It's just an old wives' tale that sort of spun round. But what's not an old wives' tale is if you like your room in your cabs, this is all yours. It's all set up for you absolutely fantastically. Apart from all your buttons and all your dials and everything on the front, this one's got, and I'll show you again at time. I don't want to start mucking about with the camera now it's mounted. You got your wood dash in front of you, and all your buttons are all there. Everything that you need, including locking the back doors, also opening and closing the back windows. That's all there. There's a little flip down cup holder just here. There's a little hook for your coat. Oh, I mean, how lovely is that? All the storage area there in the front, obviously, that's meant for baggage and luggage, because it's crap in the boot, as we know. Completely empty. If it was that boot, you'd be lucky to get a set of golf clubs in there. So I just use that for all my polishing gear and all my bits and pieces like that. I've also got the spare wheel in the back there, which is a big bulky thing, and against that spare wheel is the disabled access ramps as well, that are all tied down, as well as all the strapping and all the webbing and harnessing for securing a wheelchair should I choose, or if someone comes on my vehicle. They were primarily designed for disabled access. So if you like your sort of own little cabin area, which I absolutely love, and I love it, you know, you can get your grandkids in the back and they're all pinging away on their phones and everything like that. You just shut the screen here, shut it off. Little intercom system down here. If you talk on the intercom system here, just where you see this area here, that all along there, that's the speaker inside there. So as you speak, as you're listening, sorry, that will come through there right next to your ear, and don't matter what speed you're doing, because you've got volume control down here, and you've also got another one for people with hearing aid loops as well. You can tune yourself into them. I have the hearing aid one obviously turned right down, and then I have the normal one on about 3/4 when someone's sitting in the back. I'm just going to open that window, it's getting a bit warm in here. So when I have that one about sort of 3/4 down, that's absolutely fine. Now just above my head, he says, oh no, sorry, just above here to the left hand side, just above my front rear view mirror, is the microphone that actually obviously puts the sound to the rear of the vehicle, and that comes out right at the rear between the three seats, as it were, and there's a speaker there that doubles up as a radio to play the radio, which I can fade in and fade out from here depending on whoever, if they wanted to listen to the radio, and a lot of the youngsters wouldn't listen to the stuff I listen to anyway. And also that's how the people sitting in the rear pick up my communication for when I'm talking. I prefer myself to slide the windows open and I can still hear the conversation. If you don't, every time you turn on the microphone side here, which I've done here, a little red light goes on in the back, and it tells the passenger or the customer or whoever that and there's a little sign that says your conversation may be heard now by the driver. Now what's good, it's on a two-way rocker system, so if that person sees that light and doesn't want you to hear whatever conversation they're having on their mobile phone, because to the left and to the right there's two speakers in the struts at the back for them to talk into, that will come through here. It's almost like a two-way communication. They have the access of a switch there where they can actually flick it, and if they flick that, then it flicks off the sound and I won't be able to hear them. All I need to do then is to re-flick it back here, and then I can speak to them, but they can flick me off again. So it gives them the ultimate command of whether or not they want to speak to me or want to hear me. It works really, really well. It's good, it's loud, and as you're driving along, it's absolutely perfect. Obviously, 9 times out of 10 when you've got no one on here, you just leave that turned off. You haven't got to worry about that, and you just go off. So yeah, that's a good added bonus to actually have. All part of the TX range. And they thought about absolutely everything. Now, this is an old car when you think about it, or an old cab. 2013 plate. Silly little things, like I've only just picked up on it a few days ago. It was raining outside. I know modern cars do this all the time, but this isn't a modern car. It was far ahead of its time. It was raining. I had the windscreen wiper on the front. I needed to manoeuvre out of where I live to get back out. As soon as I stuck it into reverse gear, it automatically started the rear wipers going for me, because it knew the front wipers were on. It knew that obviously There's a switch there that says, yep, okay, that's fine. He's in reverse, so it connects up obviously towards the gearbox as a sensor, and then the rear wipers come on. That's just something a little bit sort of, you know, that a lot of modern cars have now, but you know, in its time, this was quite innovative and it works. So yeah, that's the positive side of it as well. It's an absolutely fantastic cab. Do you know what? You could probably see me smiling a little bit earlier. I still, you know, if I have a bit of a crap day at work and I walk out and it's all sitting there polished, as you know, it's all been sprayed as well, which I will show you once I finish it. Again, you'll see the before pictures that I've already put in a previous edition here, and then I'll show you the completed one. It makes me smile when I come out to it. Every single afternoon, or when I go off to work in the morning, it just makes me smile, and I sit in it. It goes a lot slower than my normal car used to go, but it seems to bring out a broader, wider smile. Now today, if you remember in my last blog or rant, I was not singing the praises, excuse me, of Parcel Force. Well, I've eventually picked up today, Tuesday, the wheel hubs. The chrome hubs. Hallelujah, I hear you say. It's only taken about 5 extra days to bloody get here, and I had to pay £1 for the privilege. That's stuck, you know. Anyway, I've picked them up now. I've got them over in the back seat. They're well boxed up. I've just split it and had a look because I've just come back from the post office, and I must admit they are very, very good. They do look good. If you are interested in purchasing these, let me know, and then I'll give you the link down the block. I still haven't worked out how to link this yet, and I'll let you know who sells them. And yeah, they're very effective. They're obviously not the LTI ones. The LTI ones cost an absolute arm and a leg. These are the aftermarket parts, but it does look very, very good. One of the other chaps, James, said to me that he's just bought a pair, and he said they are a bit of a sales ear to put on. They do take a bit. You've got to be very careful with them, but I'm sure we'll be able to manage, and we'll stick those in, and that'll be one less job, and it'll be on its way. Now today, I got out to work just a little bit early because I heard down on the seafront at Worthing, someone told me in the know, there was about 50 London cabs. And what it was, they'd come up from London with the Chelsea pensioners at the Chelsea hospital, and they drove them all up here on a free day, and they're dropping them all into Worthing Theatre. Anyway, that's lovely. They do that. They're all part of a big charitable organisation. And I came up about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I had a look up there, and it was lined. The promenade was lined with cabs. And what I liked about it was there were some really, really early cabs there, going back to about 1940s, 1930s. They were all sort of at the front because all the press were around them with the old Chelsea pensioners with the pictures. But yeah, they were good, and I've taken a few pictures as well of the older cabs, you know, the old ones with the leather roofs, and they had all the stuff all set up, and the cases in the open platform back. Is it the Bearmont? I think it was. Just a little bit before my time, but they did look good, like, you know, all gate change up here and double declutching. And I noticed they had the vintage London Vintage Taxi Association, which I've joined. I'm going to I was going to go over and talk to the guys about that, but I didn't get a chance to do it because I was interested as well about some of the other cabs up there. And when I walked up the line up there was quite a few of the new ones, the brand new all electric 45, 50,000 pound ones. Unfortunately, there was no drivers there. I'd imagine all the drivers were all off in the theatre watching whatever show it was, so it was just all the vehicles. There's some TX4s there, and there was also about half a dozen TX2s, and I looked at them, looked at their registration number, and I thought, they can't be licensed now. They're over 15 years old. And it's only when I went round the back they're private cabs that still belong to whatever, this association. They've got no plating on the back, but in good condition, a lot of them were. So they're still sort of running around and still ferrying the old Chelsea pensioners back and forward. It was good today. It was nice to sort of be up there with loads of other cabs and seeing all the different cabs, as well as, you know, the new Mercedes cabs were there, the Volkswagens as well. You know, everything that's now licensed from Mayor Khan, or Mayor Kant as they call him, and that's C-A-N-T. They were all up there. All those cabs were all up there, so it was good. I spent sort of an hour and a half up there just wandering up and down, took a few pictures as well, and had a look at some of the old cabs and the conditions of them as well, and looking at the little inherent rust spots that mine had, and the little funny things about it. So yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. And then I've come back, and then like I said, I've just gone out and I've now recovered these bloody wheel trims that have taken a month of Sundays to get here. So fingers crossed they will be attached. Fingers crossed by the weekends the wheel trims will be fitted. And once the wheel trims are fitted, one other thing to do now. Now, as you know, this has been off to the spray shop. Now, I like detailing. You know, my idea of fun for an afternoon is a couple of cans of beer, just working from front to back on the cab and going right the way from the front all the way back and detailing it up. Now, I've never done this one yet because I've been told I've got to stay away from this for a few days until it fully hardens. Well, I'll be fine by the weekend, he told me. What I have purchased, I purchased some wax, Carabuna wax, and I looked at the reviews on it, got it off of eBay. It weren't cheap. It was not far short of about 25 quid for a tin of this stuff. But the only reason I got it was the reviews. And I thought, oh my God, look at those. It's called Harley Wax. And it's Harly, Harley Wax. I think it was about 26 quid, something like that. But it's a big tin, and they reckon it lasts forever. And they reckon it's amazing what that can do. And so I thought, right, okay, then we'll give that one a go. I haven't tried that stuff before. So I've got the Harley Wax in. I've got a good quality wash as well that's really good, and again, that's an American one. That's in the boot now, and I can't remember. Just for the wash alone, I think it was about 6 quid, 7 quid. One capful of that in, and it should be fine. So I've got that to use, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash it over the weekend, and also I've ordered a clay bar and also detailing fluid as well. Any of you that know about detailing, you'll know about the detailing fluid. So what I'm going to do, ladies and gents, guys and girls, I'm going to wash it first, and then I'm going to clay bar it with the detailing fluid that takes forever and ever, amen. After I've detailed the whole thing off, I'm then going to go over it with the Carabuna wax, and it's really unusual because it recommends from the manufacturers that you actually do the whole vehicle, not just in panels, before you start to take off. So you start at one side of the vehicle, work over all around the sides, up on the roof, at the back, along, down, back to the front, right down to the front. You can use it as well over the headlights and everything. It reckons it puts a luster on all headlights and everything. And it says don't worry about putting it in all your side trims either, because it'll bring life back to your side trims. So it says, and the review said it. There's over 70 reviews of this on eBay, and there's only one company that sells it, a guy that sells it on there, and he does the whole of the UK, so he must have the franchise for the whole of the UK. But I only bought it purely for the fact I was looking for a polish that I hadn't used before, and I only bought it because of the reviews. And out of 70 reviews, all 70 of them were going, oh my God moments, like, you know, can't believe this is that good. So I thought, this has just been resprayed in parts, well, most of it. If I get a good wash on it, and I actually do the wax as well, you know, and clay bar it first, then put that wax on. And it says if you really on that Harley wax, that's Harly. He says if you really want to impress people, go back over and do it again straight away. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have the energy to do all that and get on the top, almost on the roof of the cab. I reckon all that detailing is going to take about 8 hours by hand, because I don't use the guns or the tools or the air or nothing like that. It comes with a pad like that, and I've got loads of other pads, and it all recommends the microfiber cloths, and I've got good quality microfiber cloths as well. So I know a lot of you will say, my God, Jim, you're going to spend 8 hours of your life doing that. It works for me. I like the idea of that, and it's meant to really repel bird crap, which I get a lot of here. The minute I clean this bloody thing, something mucks on it. I'm sure it sort of sits there up there and waits and holds itself, and then goes to the toilet. So, and he reckons they just wipe off, and the beading's very good when it rains. So, fingers crossed, guys. That's going to work. So that's my plan for possibly Saturday. Depending on weather as well, and it can't be too hot as well, because it reckons the wax has got to be applied at ambient temperature, so you know, not too hot, not too cold, and we'll see how we go. Hey, look, that with the new wheel trims, bit of tyre black, bit of back to black, cockpit shine. You don't need nothing else, do you? And if you've got the old ex-London cab as well, it'll put a smile on your face every time. Guys, I said this wouldn't be long, didn't I? Look, it's 6 minutes past 5 now, and I've got a lasagna waiting for me when I get in. I'm going, waiting for me to put it in the microwave. Yeah, I've got a microwave. No, it's not a microwave one. I had some yesterday. I'm going to have some today. So, as always, guys, comments, please. I keep saying guys, but I'm mixing the girls in with that as well. If there's any girls that sort of are interested in the taxis or need to know any information about it, please get in. And if I don't know, there's plenty of more brainier people on here than me. As always, everyone, it's been an absolute honour and a pleasure, never a chore. And we are going to do it all again, and once she's all detailed up and clean and fixed and no oil leak and no water leak, I will be back, in the words of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Catch you all again down the other side of the road, and don't forget to leave your comments, because I really do read absolutely everyone, and I will try and respond back to everyone if it's all possible. From the big guy in his London Taxi International TX2 on a 2003 plate with 260,000 miles back, I'm out of here. Bye.